for just over 6 years now, entirely on the college recruiting side. I'm sure I've probably, hopefully, maybe met some of you on campus over the past few years. And we're really excited to be talking to you a little bit about how to win in this virtual world after the career fair. Before I begin, I do want to introduce Ryan, who recently joined our team, to do a quick introduction.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to meet you. I apologize in advance for wearing enemy colors on this call. I totally forgot about that. But
I told him it was okay, so my apologies too.
It's virtual, so nobody can throw anything at me, which is great. But I'm really happy to be here. I come from a recruiting background. I've been with DSG now for just over a month, so I am a new face. But I do come from a recruiting background, so a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight is things that I've kind of learned over a couple years and have been offering the same advice to candidates, and now I'm happy to do so through DSG as well. So really happy to be here.
Cool. Before we begin, if I can encourage people to put their cameras on and show face, I would love that. It does make it a lot more fun for us to be able to feel like we're connecting with you. I love this. I love this. Wonderful. And I am going to be sending a link in the chat for everyone. If you wouldn't mind filling out that form, that way we can stay in touch. Yeah, please do not worry about being dressed fancy. I'm literally wearing sneakers and a black t-shirt. Like, this is my first day back in the office for a while. So just like you, I'm used to wearing a sweatshirt every day. Love this. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you turning your cameras on. This is wonderful. Well, great. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let me know when you can see it.
Yep, you're good.
Good.
Lovely. Okay, great. So I'm sure most of you have probably participated in one of the virtual career fairs that has taken place over the past few weeks with Penn State. I know it's probably been vastly different than what you're used to, especially if you're a junior or senior. You're used to going to the SMEAL business building atrium and meeting with a ton of different employers and getting to have that face-to-face interaction. And so, you know, just like you're trying to navigate this world, so are the recruiting teams. So, you know, do not feel like you're in this alone by any means. What we're going to talk about tonight is how do we go after this virtual career fair, how do we actually secure that internship? I know we had a lot of conversations with our interns this past summer about some of their concerns, what they were worried about when it came to the recruiting season. And unfortunately, this is our new reality, right? These fun text-based career fairs trying to get to know people, like a bad AIM chat for anyone who's old enough to know about AOL Instant Messenger. Ryan can share some really fun stories from a recent career fair he went to at a different campus where it was truly just one big group chat room. So hopefully, you know, if you had the opportunity to use Brazen through the past career fairs that you asked to do a video call versus just kept it text-based, I really encourage you for any future career fairs, don't be afraid to ask that of the recruiter. The moment a student asked me to video chat, I was really excited because I just think it's a lot easier to have that conversation and answer questions than trying to fervently type a response. But you know, hopefully you were able to navigate this virtual career fair world, meet with the employers you're really excited about. And now let's think about how do we, after having to go through an anomaly recruiting experience, how do we stand out to those employers to really make sure we can secure an internship or a full-time job, whatever that may be. What do we need to do to really stand out in this virtual world? So 4 big things, right? So after the fair, and this goes even beyond just thinking about a virtual career fair, there are 4 key things you want to do. So fine tune that resume, right? So you probably ask the recruiter, what are some of the skill sets or qualities you look for in a candidate? And whatever they share back with you, that is an opportunity to take it back and actually update your resume based on those skill sets and resubmit that resume with an application or to the recruiter. Because if you're talking to someone and they tell you that they're really looking for someone with great customer service skills, maybe there's an opportunity on your resume to really highlight that skill set and how you've exhibited great customer service. Secondly, make sure you submit that application in a timely manner. One of the things for Penn State students specifically, you do have Nittany Lion Careers. Most of your employers, if they're attending Penn State career fairs, likely want you to submit your application through Nittany Lion Careers versus the company career website. But that's a great question for a recruiter, right? Make sure you're following directions. There might be directions on Nittany Lion Careers on how to submit your application for that opportunity. But for none, make sure you are looking for those instructions if you didn't get a chance to talk to the recruiter about that process. Ultimately, the company is likely going to need you to submit it through the company career website. So it doesn't hurt to start there. But I do recommend trying to find whatever information you can about that application process. Craft a follow-up note. Hopefully you got contact information from the virtual career fair that you can actually send a follow-up note directly to their email. One of the cool things about Brazen, we were able to set up a drop-off email. So there should have been an email on our virtual career fair booth that you could have taken down and followed up with. You were also able to follow up through the Brazen platform, right? There were a lot of great opportunities to do that through the platform itself. But if you have contact information and you're able to send them a note directly, I always recommend attaching a resume, especially if you updated it, right? That's a great way to make it easier for the recruiter and to kind of refresh their memory about who you were as a candidate. And don't forget to personalize. We'll dive a little bit more into that. And then let's get interview ready, right? So it's never too early to start prepping for an interview. Most of your interviews are probably going to be behavioral-based questions. And in this virtual world, one of the great tools I recommend is actually record yourself answering interview questions. Get comfortable having yourself on a screen. And one of the things when you're in a virtual world, we almost have to over-animate a little bit and kind of be a little bit more energetic through a camera, right? So those are great things to practice prior to an interview, right? So take the opportunity, either have your roommate record you or set up a selfie stick and record yourself, or simply you can do a selfie video interview. But anything just to get comfortable talking to a device would really help you get prepared for the interview. So I want to start by talking a little bit about resume tips, and I'm going to give, hopefully this gives us some brownie points with Ashley. Career Connections, Ashley's team has a great deal of resources available to you through the Career Connections website, and you can partner with Career Connections to work on your resume. I cannot recommend it enough. I was actually in there playing today, kind of looking at some of the options they have for you to work through. So please make sure you use that. They even have a downloadable template for your resume that you can make sure that you've got a nice, clean, symmetrical resume that will almost be fail-proof if you put the right information on it. One of the big misses that I see a lot of students go through, and I wanted to provide some examples, is just not spending enough time on some of the bullet point information that they include within their past experiences, right? So maybe some of you have worked in a Dick's Sporting Goods store. Maybe some of you have worked as a lifeguard. You might have had a part-time job that you have listed on your resume. And so I wanted to highlight some ways to really make these bullet points meaningful for an employer as you think about an internship opportunity. So I actually pulled these bullet points straight from resumes that I have seen. And obviously you can see up at that top where that red X is, processed freight or providing customer service. You can tell these are people that have worked in a retail store. It's pretty basic. You've got your action verb, and that's great. I know kind of what they're doing to the very basic level. So as we work down where that yellow tab is, we're getting a little bit more information. I have a little bit better of an understanding of what they actually did in their role, but it's still not quite there. You know, I can understand what they were doing. It makes sense, but I really want to know the breadth and the depth of what they were working on and how much of an impact they had in this specific role. So I cannot emphasize this enough, and you're going to see how much more impactful these bullet points are once you just simply add some quantitative figures. So tracked weekly freight and processed all apparel inventory upwards of 900 units per shipment, right? So right there, I've got, it's a weekly freight shipment and it's got at least 900 units per shipment. And I can kind of understand the breadth of what they're doing during those shipments, right? Or provide superior product knowledge to drive customer conversion by more than 10%. What that means to a retailer means a lot of money. So those are really easy ways to look at your part-time jobs. Think about like, how many customers did I interact with daily to provide them superior product knowledge, right? You know, how much sales volume was I working with every day, ensuring that the cash wraps were balanced? You know, there are so many things you can look at depending on what your part-time job is to really quantify that impact. Does anyone have any questions about resumes before we move on? And feel free to come off of mute.
Yeah, so do you recommend that resumes are within a page?
I do.
Okay.
There's unlikely a time where, as a college student, that you would have enough experience that it would exceed one page. And there's probably just some formatting that you can do to make sure it fits on one page, or we might need to skinny down some of the information you're providing, right? As you get into your junior and senior year, your high school education doesn't really need to be listed on there. As you get more appropriate work experience, maybe you don't need really any bullet points to your student organizations that you're involved in, right? So there are ways you can start to skinny it down, and you'll be constantly revising your resume. You'll probably, like I always say, you should have one very good standard resume, and then you might have 6 or 7 different copies based on different internships or different experiences you're applying for. Just based on what you want to highlight, right? Like if you're applying to a retail internship, you'd obviously really want to highlight your retail sales experience in a store. But if you are applying to work in finance for a big company, you might want to highlight more of your student org involvement where you were the director of finance for the Thon or something along those lines. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Any other questions about resumes?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
So like you were talking about like adding a high school stuff to your resume and stuff. Like when should we transition out of that and like not include as much high school information onto resumes?
I would say after your sophomore year, you can definitely remove it. You know, I think by junior year, you hopefully, you know, whether it's campus involvement or part-time jobs, you'll probably have some other things that can take its place. And unless there's something applicable to the job itself, right? If you were a troop leader for your Boy Scouts in high school, that is absolutely fine to leave on there just to showcase that leadership experience, but you don't necessarily need to have, I was a student at Shadyside Academy and graduated in May of 2014 or what have you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I also have a question.
Sure.
So what would you say is the best way to incorporate class projects on our resume?
It's a great question. So do you have a particular project that you're thinking about?
Yeah, kind of. I did one last year on like, analyzing a company's financial statements.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that can almost become part of your, you can list it on there, but make sure if you're going to list it that you have quantitative figures to showcase why it's so impactful, right? Like when you talk about analyzing their financial statements, did you find anything? Was there a result of analyzing their financial statements? Because what you want to be prepared for. So, and this is a great thought.
Yeah.
Whatever you have on your resume becomes fair game for an interviewer to ask you about. And the last thing you want to do is get tripped up not being able to give a strong answer to it, right? So it is one of the reasons why I encourage students to work so much on providing, putting so much energy into their resume, and specifically the bullet points they have on their resume, because it's only going to help you with your responses when they ask you, tell me about a time, you know, what's your greatest accomplishment, you know, and suddenly you can talk about that time you drove a 10% conversion in your store to equate to $300,000 in sales or what have you. So the more time you spend on that, the easier it's going to be to respond to some of these questions, but at the same time, it also opens up fair game to poke holes into why.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So following up, be brief but specific, right? So we as recruiters, you know, we encounter a lot of students, and hopefully you already put your best foot forward during the career fair, that you shouldn't have to give the whole elevator pitch in your email as a follow-up, but you do want to be specific enough to maybe call out a part of a conversation we had to really showcase, hey, like, this is who I am. We talked about our love for Pittsburgh sports, go Steelers. But you don't need to go into the whole, I'm a junior at Penn State and pursuing this, and this, and I'm involved in this organization, right? Let the resume speak for yourself. And that's where that personalization comes into play, right? So talking about whatever conversation we might have had, make sure you address the recruiter appropriately. We talked about this the other day on another call. It never fails that sometimes people don't read an email signature and they'll call you by your last name or use the incorrect name to address you. So make sure you're double checking, you know, if you have an email from the recruiter, double check their signature to confirm what they go by. And don't wait. So the follow-up should really happen within the next 72 hours after the career fair. You don't want to be following up a week and a half later. You know, if you do, you know, I wouldn't even address the career fair necessarily. You can definitely mention that you spoke with a recruiter, but at that point they might have attended 6 other career fairs and everything's kind of molding together. But you know, try to be pretty prompt on that turnaround time. And just to be honest, the recruiting season moves very quickly. If you didn't apply within those 72 hours after the career fair, or you didn't reach out within those 72 hours, that job may have been filled. They may have already picked their candidates for interviews, right? So this world of recruiting in the fall goes very quickly, so you don't want to wait. It is common, you know, what if I don't have contact information for the recruiter that I want to touch base with? You might not have gotten it through the career fair, or you might not be able to access it through Brazen. So what I do want to talk about is, what do we do after we've already followed these steps post career fair, right? There are so many ways that in this virtual world, you can go beyond just the virtual career fair to really make a mark for yourself. And that is one of the ways you're going to be able to find the recruiters. So let's talk about beyond the fair and how we're going to win in this virtual world. All right, everyone loves a good meme. I am curious if there's a raised hand function Raise your hand if you do have a LinkedIn. And Ryan, can you give me an audible on what that looks like?
I'm not sure there's a raise hand function.
Oh, I'm seeing them. There's 15, 16.
You do see it, okay.
I do see it. It's popping up. This dual monitor thing is nice.
I do not have that luxury right now.
Sorry. Okay, so we've got about 20 people that have a LinkedIn profile, which means there's just a handful of you that do not. Go get one now. As that meme says, not having one is not okay. It is going to be a game changer for you beyond this virtual world, but especially right now, LinkedIn can do so much work for you that you don't even realize. If you don't have contact information, it is so easy to go on LinkedIn, type Carrie Dick's Sporting Goods recruiter, and I guarantee you, I'm probably one of the first profiles to pop up on LinkedIn, and voila, you can message me right on LinkedIn. So if you do not have contact information for someone you talk to at the career fair, but you do know their name, I guarantee if you Google their name and put LinkedIn, their profile will pop up. What makes LinkedIn so powerful? It is the largest professional network with over 706 million professionals on LinkedIn. Over 3 million companies. Dick's Sporting Goods is very active. I am very active on LinkedIn. I will tell you, it is a tool I use daily. And especially within our role, I am looking at your LinkedIn profiles because there's usually, if you have it updated, there might be other things on there that can help give me insight to who you are as a person and as a candidate. And it is a great way to create those connections and build a virtual network with people. So it is a great way. I'm constantly posting updates about virtual events that we are hosting as a campus team, whether it's specific to Penn State or if it's open to any student to attend. So there are going to be opportunities for you to engage with companies you're interested in just by connecting with the recruiter on LinkedIn. So I cannot recommend it enough. One of the things that happens when you create that LinkedIn, I can search for students who have specific keywords in their profile for a skill set I might be looking for, right? So in reality, you might not have an internship, but by having a LinkedIn, I may stumble across your profile and be like, this is the unicorn that I'm looking for specific in this internship opportunity that I have, right? So by creating that, you're basically letting yourself be discoverable by recruiters very quickly. It is important when you create your profile, upload a picture, make sure it's professional. Everything that's on your resume should be transcribed into your LinkedIn, right? So it should basically be this virtual resume that you have. One of the really cool things about LinkedIn profiles, beyond that resume, and Simon, this is great for you, you can actually attach files directly to your LinkedIn to showcase some of the work that you've done. So when you want to put that project on there that you were analyzing these financial statements, you can actually upload the Excel document right to your LinkedIn profile, and I, as a recruiter, can go out and see the work that you did, which is really cool. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see tons of video content of some of the work that I've done specifically with our internship program and some of the events we've hosted. So it's a really powerful tool for you to highlight beyond just the career fair and beyond just your resume. Questions about that?
Yeah, so I just want to get, just because I'm somewhat familiar with LinkedIn, I do have a profile, but I don't really post on it. And I'm in a specific business program that allows us access to some exclusive events like with Mars Wrigley and stuff like that, and even this event. Would you recommend posting about them afterwards, like posting about this event and being like, oh, it was great speaking with, and like tag you, like things like that?
Yeah, because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to like it, and then my network of people are going to see that, they're going to click on it and they're likely going to be adding you. The moment I see a student tag another retailer, you best bet I am creeping on their profile and adding them to hopefully poach them. Don't you worry, I will let you into all the dirty recruiting secrets.
Well, please add your LinkedIn then, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, honestly, it sounds selfish to the employer to ask you to tag us, but it is actually going to also benefit you because it is going to broaden your reach. So when you log into your LinkedIn, you'll usually see X number of people viewed your profile. I guarantee you the moment you tag a company in a post and they start liking it, it's only going to mean that more people start viewing your profile and you're going to see a much heavier tick. Make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome. I know you're the generation of social media savviness, so I know what you're picking up what I'm putting down. All right. So another great thing. So beyond just being selfish as a company, hoping that you're giving us free press, we are very active as a company as both the Dick's Sporting Goods page, but also our associates across the country are very active on LinkedIn. So it is a great way as you think about prepping for interviews to learn some of those behind the scenes things that are happening that can help your research, right? So you can go to the company website, you can learn about our history, you can start to understand how we came to be as a company and what we stand for. But one of the cool things, the moment a candidate mentions, hey, I saw that you just launched this new private label brand called DSG and that it gives back to our Sports Matter campaign. I had noticed it on LinkedIn and I started checking it out. That is a great way to stand out in the interview or at a career fair in general. So LinkedIn is going to be a great way to get your news regarding a company, and that goes beyond just Dick's Sporting Goods. That's any company, any large company especially, that they're going to be sharing these highlights. We also have a really strong presence with our teammates across the country. So if you follow hashtag DSG Life, you will see all of our employees across the country who love to share their story and their experience. And I know one of our favorite questions we always get is, why do you love Dick's Sporting Goods? Or tell me about your Dick's Sporting Goods experience. That's great to hear from Ryan and I about our experience. We're recruiters, we talk about this a lot, but if you go to LinkedIn and follow hashtag DSG Life, you're gonna get to learn about the experience of teammates from all across the country. And all of them are a very different experience, right? Because we have people that are working in distribution centers, working in our stores, and then working corporate. So I think it's just a really great way to learn about the company and what that culture is like. All right, any questions about LinkedIn? Any questions about following up past the career? Oh, go ahead.
Actually, I have a quick question about LinkedIn. So as far as making sure that your resume is incorporated onto your LinkedIn, would you actually put your resume directly on your LinkedIn? Would you kind of leave the resume off it and kind of like put the skills that you've learned from the positions that you've held and the experiences you've had that are on your resume?
I think it's great to also attach a PDF copy of your resume straight to your LinkedIn page as well. For me as a recruiter, if I go to your page and I'm interested in contacting you, it's great when I can just download your resume straight from there. And that's the same with the follow-up note. I love when people just attach their resume naturally, because probably the first part of my response is going to be, can you send me a copy of your resume? That way it's just easily accessible. Versus having to log into Nittany Lion Careers, search for your name and locate your information. Anything you can do to make it easier, will definitely expedite the process.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can I get some raised hands if, how many first years, freshmen do I have on the call? Raise your hand. About 11. Okay. How about sophomores? Go ahead and raise your hand. Okay. And do I have any juniors? Okay. And seniors? So I've got a pretty wide group. Okay. Wonderful. For those who are freshmen or sophomores, even at the junior or senior level, one of my last recommendations I can make to you to help prep you for recruiting years to come, SMEAL offers a BA 297 course. It is career readiness. Each week there is a theme. You'll also go through mock interviews. They'll do some resume work with you. I can't recommend it enough. We usually do a presentation with BA 297 about building your brand. So who do you want to be known for in the workplace or through your student orgs? And there's a lot of really great tangible takeaways. Almost every Penn State student I've hired over the past few years usually makes a comment about that course and how much it helped them through their junior and senior year of recruiting. So with that, I do want to open it up to any last minute questions you might have. I'm happy to talk about internships if anyone is interested, but I wanted to make sure we addressed any other concerns you might have when it comes to this virtual recruiting world.
So I think I applied like the day the career fairs was,
Okay.
and like I don't know. Is there confirmation? I forget if I get confirmation anywhere or not. I'm trying to look for it and I can't find it.
Do you remember if it would have been through Nittany Lion Careers?
It was on that one web. Yeah. What's it called? Nittany Lion Careers.
Yep.
Okay. I think I did on that like Brazen's or whatever.
You clicked to the application through Brazen?
Yeah.
Okay, that might have been our typical careers website. You should have received, if it was through our traditional careers website, you should have received a confirmation.
Okay.
If it was through Nittany Lion Careers, I'm not sure what that experience looks like for the student, but I would also assume there should be some sort of confirmation, or you should be able to log into your Nittany Lion Careers profile and view any jobs you've applied for.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions?
I have one question.
Sure.
I was wondering what the interview process was following applying through Nittany Lion Careers.
Yeah, great question. So we are currently working through our applications, and then over the next 2 weeks, we'll be sending out invitations to those selected for interviews. Our interview process for an internship is simply 2 30-minute video interviews with the respective business partners. So if you applied for merchandising, you would interview with someone in inventory planning as well as buying, and it would just be 2 30-minute behavioral-based interviews, and then from there we would let you know if we are going to offer you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to put one last plug for a way to learn more about Dick's Sporting Goods. If you go to dsgcampus.com, we actually have video testimonials of people from across the country as well that work with us talking about their experience. So if you don't want to follow hashtag DSG Life on LinkedIn, or if you want another spot to learn more about our current teammates, you can go there. It'll automatically pop up. It's some really cool information you can learn just hearing about what people do and what their experience has been like. If you follow DSG Campus on Instagram, we are relatively active on there, at least posting major updates or information that you might need to know regarding upcoming events.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
You said that invitations for Interviews will be sent out in 2 weeks. So around what date should we send in our application for the internships?
ASAP.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it is a rolling basis to a degree. So the sooner you can get your information in, the less likely you'll miss out on it, an opportunity. And that goes even beyond exporting goods. Most companies, when they do their on-campus recruiting, you really do want to quickly get that application in.
I had a quick question. So what opportunities do you have available for freshmen in terms of internships, leadership programs, or anything else?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't offer anything formal for freshmen. One of the things that I always recommend as a freshman, if you are interested in Dick's Sporting Goods or retail in general, it is really great for you to go and get store experience. We are, one of the first things we look for is anyone who's worked in our store at some period of time on their resume. So if you're interested in Dick's Sporting Goods from an internship or full-time perspective, highly, highly recommend getting a part-time job in one of our stores. Everyone at the corporate level is required to work in stores at some point because it is a critical component to how we operate. And so as a freshman, that's one of the things I can recommend. If you know you want retail in general, I think getting a part-time retail job is critical as well. As a sophomore, we do a summer shadowing experience, and that's over the summer, typically in July, where we bring you into our corporate office to do a little immersion day with our merchants. Any other questions? Are midterms coming up? So quick.
Sadly, yes.
Yes. Well, wonderful. Well, Ryan and I's contact information is right there on the slide. Just a friendly reminder, I did put that link into the chat room if you wouldn't mind going out and filling that out. That way we can keep in touch with you down the road, even beyond internships for this year. And otherwise, hopefully we will be reconnecting at some point.